There are 7 glands on a white-tailed buck, 6 on a white-tailed doe. 3 are on their head, 3 are on their legs, and then the one on the buck is the one in between. The ones on their face, we have the preorbital gland, which is a gland just in front of the eye. We have the forehead gland, and then we have the nasal gland, which is just on the inside of the nose. The one on the inside of the nose probably has a little lubrication function. Not a lot known about exactly what that does or what it serves for deer. The preorbital gland is pretty important from communication. If you watch a buck at a licking branch, which is the branch over a scrape, you will see that he will mouth it, he will lick it, and then he will rub his preorbital gland on it to get just the right smell on it. He also might rub his forehead gland on it, but that preorbital gland he will definitely rub there. Probably not a huge function of that gland, but definitely something involved there with communication. The forehead gland, on the other hand, very important gland, probably the second most important gland to a deer. Research out of the University of Georgia shows upwards of 50 different pieces of information that deer can share about itself through increased glandular activity of the forehead gland during the breeding season. During the rest of the year, not much activity at all, but as they get into that breeding season, there's a lot going on there. In older bucks, you often see the forehead hair will turn a little bit wavy. It often gets a little redder appearance. This is all because of that increased glandular activity that's causing that. So very important from a communication standpoint. This is what they will rub on a tree. We used to think, deer are making this rub to get the velvet off their antlers, and they will use that. However, it's far more important at those rubs from a communication standpoint. They will use the antlers, break the cambium layer of that tree. That releases some aromatics. It's also a visual thing, a visual cue for other deer to see, and then they will rub their forehead gland on that spot where they rubbed. They're basically leaving information about themselves there for other deer to come in and communicate with. So those are 3. There's also 3 on the leg. One is in between the toes. That is the interdigital gland, and that is important from a walking perspective. Deer can actually leave a little bit of scent about themselves there, and that's how some deer can then track other deer or know which way they are going. This is also how dogs and other predators can track deer as well, through secretions from that interdigital gland. We also have the metatarsal gland, which is on the outside of the back leg, low on the leg, and there's probably not a function here that whitetails are using, at least not in the United States. Scientists have done a bunch of work with this and haven't been able to identify exactly what the function of that one is. It's hypothesized it might have something to do with temperature regulation, because deer closer to the equator have a very extended metatarsal gland, so hence warmer climates may be able to use for some heat regulation. But our whitetails in the United States, we don't know what they use that for. Probably nothing. From a hunting perspective, though, one thing we can do with that is we can use the size of that metatarsal to tell the difference between whitetails and mule deer, and this is the only surefire way to tell a whitetail mule deer hybrid is based on the size of that. Whitetail metatarsal is very short, mule deer metatarsal is much longer, and hybrids have the distance right in between the two. The final one that we'll talk about with deer, which is the most important gland, is the tarsal gland. And that's the one that's on the inside of the back knee. And this is the one that at a scrape, we talk about bucks rub urinating, where they will paw an area out and expose that dirt. This is after they've marked that licking branch. And oftentimes they will urinate into that to leave their scent at that scrape. In many cases, they will rub their back legs together so that urine drips over those tarsal glands as it's falling to the ground. Now, those tarsal glands are actually just modified hairs that are made to catch the urine as it passes, and it's essentially a deer's version of cologne. They're able to hold that in there, carry that scent with them, and it's one way that they communicate with others during the rut. So tarsal glands, extremely important to deer. Forehead gland, extremely important to deer from a communication standpoint. The others have lesser known functions, or in some cases, we're not sure at all what they do, but deer are far more social than many people realize, and the tarsal and the forehead gland both play an extremely large role in that social order.